that is the beauty of a startup. You get that exposure, you get
Mm-hmm.
that explanation directly from the customer, directly from the CEOs, all the C-suite. Big company, you miss that part. But the
Mm-hmm.
fun part is, yes, big company, you can plan, you can sleep peacefully. Here, you're like midnight, you will have idea, oh, I missed it.
Welcome everyone to the Tech Guide podcast, where we give actual advice to those wanting to break into tech or looking for their next gig. We have Manoj Singhal on the podcast to talk about his experience working with startups, growing within startups in ways you can stand out in your career. So Manoj, thank you so much for being here today. Super excited to have you on.
Hey Ryan, thanks a lot for the opportunity. I'm really excited for this podcast, and let's do it.
Yes, let us do it. And before we get into all of it, we got to have a little bit of background about you and your love for technology, engineering, and the cross function between those. So, can you take us to a specific time in your life where you remember like falling in love with technology and engineering?
Yeah, sure. So let me start with my school days. So I born and brought up in India, and that is the time when everyone was moving to the computers. And first time I have interaction with the computers when I was in 10th grade, high school, and I fall in love with the technology that this is the future and I want to work on it. Then I prepare for my engineering, and after the engineering, the first job I joined was a government job in India. And after a few years, I realized, so basically I'm an electrical engineer, but
Mm-hmm.
very soon I realized that no, I need to move to the software, and that's how I started the corporate journey in Symantec. And then it's like so on Symantec, IBM, then HDST, and then Cohesity. So it's keep going on, just jumping from one ship to another and
Yeah.
learning a lot and having fun.
Yeah, I want to talk about. So you graduated with an electrical engineering degree, then awesome, and then you worked for the government in India, and then you made that shift to being like software engineering. How did that shift happen? Because that's a really big shift from electrical to like software. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, so that was a time of like 2002, 2005 time frame when everyone was moving to the software, and there was a lot of
Mm.
exciting opportunity. And I wanted to learn, and as I said, that I fall in love with the technology and computers especially. So though I did my graduation, undergrad and graduation both in electrical, I was very excited to see like why how I can contribute to this technology and build something awesome.
Mm.
And that's where when I see, okay, electrical has a potential, but it takes much longer because there is so much infrastructure. In software, you can have your laptop, an idea, and you can start your own company.
Yeah. Was that at the time around like the 2001, 2005 timeframe? Is that why a lot of people were switching to like, because the promise is to like make your own company if you have a software product?
Correct.
Yeah. And so that was like a lot of the shifts that was happening. That was part of the reason like you wanted to do is like, I can start my own company someday if I learn how to do this.
Right. Yeah. And that was the reason, that was the motivation that, okay, if I move to the software, I had a lot of ideas. Technology was growing, and we know that web is coming, especially everything is moving online. So this is the right time to move into the software and learn it and see how we can contribute and how we can make this world a better place. So if you
Yeah.
just see like 20 years back, overseas call, video call was not the reality. It was just an imagination, right? And now it's like it's just quick. You call anywhere, anyone at no cost.
Yeah. That's what I think is so cool. And it allows us to have like a conversation like this, which is so neat. How did you learn then? So you had an electrical engineering background, you made that pivot. What were some of the ways that you learned about software engineering?
Yeah, so one that opportunity was, we got that opportunity during the undergrads where we have the exposure to the softwares, and we started
Mm.
writing code in the C++ language.
Yeah.
Then after that, I went for my master for Indian Institute of Technology. We call it
Yep.
IIT, and that is the place where you get the much more exposure. You have a big labs,
Yeah.
professors, companies visiting from all over the world there for the
Yeah.
placement. And that's where you can come up with the ideas, you can share them, and that is a trigger point where it build a confidence that yes, you can do it.
I think that's really, really cool. And that has led to a very successful career. As you said, you worked for Simnatic, IBM, now you're at Coesity, 9 years, you just passed 9 years. So congratulations on that. That's a long time at a company in today's. And so people that are listening, they're going to be around our age, like, or my age, 24, 25, 26, 27, around there, wanting to do well in their career. What are some of the ways you've led teams, you've hired, you've managed? What are two ways that someone young in their career can stand out to more senior level employees?
So one thing I have always admired and always got the feedback from my seniors, we should not only look for the promotion or career growth. We
Yeah.
should look at the other way, how we can contribute. And when you say contribute, that comes with the question, what need to learn to contribute.
Hmm.
So take an example, if you want to build something awesome. For example, let's say you have an idea, tomorrow you want to build your own Twitter or your own WhatsApp application. That is your goal. That's how you want to contribute. Now, what do you need to learn to achieve that? That will give you a complete plan. That okay,
Mm.
if I want to build a WhatsApp, first I need to learn how to build an app, then how it interact, where I need to deploy. So once
Yeah.
you learn all those building blocks slowly, success is the just the outcome of your hard work. Once you have goal, your plan, and you start executing, success will automatically come. It might delay, but it will come for sure. But if you
Yeah.
directly run behind the success and you don't know what to contribute or what to learn, then you will just hustle.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. That you really start with that end goal in mind of like, oh, I want to build like a Twitter, or I want to build whatever. I want to build a new
Yep.
website. There's your end goal. That's what success looks like. And then it's like the process of like actually getting there. What do I need to learn? What's the foundations of how to get there?
Yeah. And I have learned this chapter, especially in the world of startup. You see, when recession come or hard times come, many startup dies. The reason is simply because they don't have long-term goal, and
Mm.
because of the small setbacks, sometimes they fail, they lose the confidence. But the startup which has long-term goal, for example, take the Tesla, right? In 2008, Tesla was going down, but Elon Musk has very strong desire that okay, this is what we are going to do. And today, you see the Tesla. You take any Nvidia, for example, AMD, any company which is today's $1 trillion company, but at some point of time they were going down, and the only
Yeah.
reason they came out because they have a long vision. They had a goal that this is what we want to achieve. Now, whatever happened to market, those all things are temporary.
Yeah, I think like the Elon Musk example is perfect because like in 2008, like they were literally like bankrupt. Like they were a week away from not making payroll, a day away from not making payroll,
Right.
and it's just keeping that long term goal in mind because it's something to shoot for.
Yeah. And it did this apply to company, this applies to individual, everything. It's like sometimes people it's like buying a house or renting it, right? Renting is a short-term solution, but if you want to buy the house, that means you have to put so much effort.
Yeah,
That means you have to wait for a long, but eventually one day you will pay it off and it will
yeah,
be
yeah.
reward. But if you go look at the short term, you will always rent out and you will always regret, oh, I should have bought it. I should have bought it.
Should
And
have bought
you
it.
will never buy it. So you have to
Yeah,
take a short term pain for a long term gain.
yeah, and that's like from the individual level as well. Like I'm about to turn 25 here in 3 4 months, somewhere around there. I've achieved goals that I want to hit by the time I was 25, and so now it's thinking about what do I want to hit from like 25 to 30, thinking in 5 year long term goals. Because it just keeps you like way more aligned, and like you said, that applies at the individual level, but that also applies with like startups and companies that are trying to grow.
In every company, if you see, they have like 5 year goal, 10-year goal, mission, vision, and then say, okay, if there is setback, it's a temporary. We will come go through it. We have done it before. We will do it now also. Same thing applies at every level. It's a philosophy, I will say, rather than
Yeah,
a technical challenge. And if you want to be successful in the career, you have to just follow the same philosophy. Read books. I will say second thing. For example, positive intelligence. They also said the same thing. Out of 10, you will get 8 bad news every day.
yeah,
There will be 1 or 2 good news. So now you need to focus where you want to go with the negative and get frustrated, or you want to focus on the positive and stay tuned that okay, this is just a part of journey.
yeah.
Out of 10, if I'm getting 2 good news, that's a good enough.
And that really is like once you do define those long-term goals, it is something where like you can just be way more resilient to those
Right,
bad news, those 8 out of 10 things that aren't good for you.
right.
I want to talk about a little bit more about like startups and like working like within a startup. Can you, because you worked for large companies, you scaled teams up a lot, you worked for small companies, you've done like amazing things. Can you like tell us like what's like one or two comparisons of working for a large corporation, but also like a smaller corporation?
So, as I said, right, I started my career with the government job. Then I moved to the private corporate sector where things move much faster pace. One, I would like to take one step back that government has a very very long term vision, but it things move very slow because project is huge. Uh, it depends on 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 people.
Yeah.
Corporate, they just break it down the big project in the smaller one, and they normally plan for 6 months or at the most 1 year. Now, when you move from the big corporate to a small startup, the plan is only for a week.
Yeah.
You have a vision that okay, this is what we are going to achieve, but they don't plan because things are very very agile. So you come in the morning and you say, "Oh, I am going to work on that," and they say, "Okay, no, this is not working. Let's shift the gear." And evening you are working on something else. So things move so fast. For a person who come just out of the college, have not seen, for them it's the first time, so they don't mind. But somebody who has worked in large corporate sector, for example, when I moved, it took some time for me to get adjust because I was
Yeah.
always okay, we are going to plan for 6 months and that's how we are going to execute. And here morning when I come to office, okay, I this is my plan, and evening, no, this is not, we are working, drop the ball here and just switch the gear, and oh, what is this happening? After today I say, what is this happening? But now I enjoy it because
Yeah.
that's way you can make the things fast, you can quickly change the things, and that is the beauty of a startup. You can come up with your own ideas. For example, there is a problem in a big corporate, there is going to be huge meeting, there is going to be 10 20 people,
Yeah.
everyone needs to come and approve. In a startup you don't have luxury of having such a big team, you have like three or four folks, right? It quickly come up, not working, throw it, try something else. At the
Yep.
end of the day you want to make the things work. That is the end goal. Now, how you're going to achieve it, it's completely up to you. So it gives a tremendous amount of opportunity for you to learn and experiment. And the best thing, nobody is going to judge you. Everyone, including a new college grade to a CEO, are sitting just next to each other. So it is giving you so much opportunity to learn. You can
Yep.
discuss. Think of a big company like Google. You won't have access to the CEO. But here, the CEO is sitting next to you. He is giving you not only technology, he's giving all the overview how they are talking to the customer, what are the feedback. You are attending the meeting with the customer, and
Yep.
you see the product from a customer angle. That okay, what we think is great may not be worth for the customer, or sometimes the other way. But we think it's a very small thing, but it's very very important for the customer. So to give you an example of Amazon one click, right? As an engineer, you think one click is just a simple thing, right? You can implement. But from a customer point of view, from a sales point of view, that made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Same with two-way authentication. From a engineer point of view, it's very, very easy to implement. But when you see the same thing from a security point of view, that two-way authentication can save your life,
Yeah.
your all the data, right? So those are simple thing, but really very, very impactful. And that is the beauty of a startup. You get that exposure, you get
Mm-hmm.
that explanation directly from the customer, directly from the CEOs, all the C suite. Big company, you miss that part. But the
Mm-hmm.
fun part is, yes, big company, you can plan, you can sleep peacefully. Here you're like midnight, you will have idea, oh, I missed it.
And I want to speak to the point about like once you are in like a smaller company, a lot of a very high majority of the companies I've worked with, I've had direct access to the CEO. And like for my own personal development, that's been like huge for me because I'm able to see how like a CEO acts, how a CEO behaves, what their habits are. And that just is so important for someone young in their career to be like, okay, that's what like the top person acts like. That's how they want to be talked to. This is how you should present data to them. And it's a lot different if you're in a big corporation, like you said, where it's like, I don't even know I've never even spoken to the CEO, but at a startup, you could be working right next to them. And that is just, it's so invaluable, that experience to have, that a lot of people don't think about when working for a startup.
Right. So we like in corporate sector, we say like 20-80 rule. So 20% is technical, but 80% is the other thing, your skills,
Yeah.
your vision, your risk taking. All those 80% you learn in the startup, because in when how the decision is being made in a big
Yep.
corporate, you get to know very at the end, but here you are part of that process. When they are making the decision, they are discussing with you.
Yep.
At least you are listening to them, and many times it's not going to be successful, right?
Yeah.
So you learn from that mistake that okay, my CEO made this decision, and at the first hand he said, okay, we don't know it's going to work or not, but he took the decision based on some calculation, and now
Yep.
you know the calculation, and it gives a different sense of learning and feeling for you. And you wait, okay, what is coming next? And slowly you will go into the mode when you will start taking those decisions, and you will always say, I don't know it's going to work or not, but we are going to give it a best try. And
Yeah.
if you listen to anyone, whether the Google CEO, Elon Musk, or Satya Nadella, everyone says the same thing. We are going to make a decision, we are going to work the best, but we cannot guarantee that it's going to work. It's just a
Yeah.
try. And eventually things work, right? And that is the mindset shift from a big corporate to a startup, where you get those decision making power in your hand.
And that's what I think is so cool, is like when you do work for those smaller companies, startups, like you have that decision making power where you can make them on the go. I hear you referencing Elon Musk a lot. He has a good book right now by Walter Isaacson that came out like a month ago, and it like really opens up the life of Elon Musk. And like what has stood out to me, like you said, has been how quick Elon Musk makes decisions, even leading these 1,000-person companies at SpaceX, however many people, SpaceX, Tesla. He's still making these super fast decisions to move, because you want to move at a startup stage where these corporations don't move as fast. And so it's such a valuable experience to make decisions and go.
Yeah, yeah. Rather than waiting and then regretting, your time is more valuable than anything else in the world.
Yeah.
So move fast, and there's another thing saying, we called it fail fast.
Fail
So if you are
fast.
not trying, then nothing will happen. Right? You will keep saying, rather just act on it, fail fast, learn it, then do again. And that
Mm-hmm.
repetitive process is, after some time you will have a gut feeling that okay, this is gonna work, this is not gonna work. So out of 100, let's say 50% decision are correct. That's a huge accomplishment, because
Yeah.
normal ratio is very less.
Yeah. And that's like one thing to consider too. Like if you're listening to this and it's like, what's my skill set really align with? It is, if you want to be able to sleep good at night, know that paycheck's always going to come through, definitely go to corporation. But there's a lot to be said, as we're discussing here, of like decision making, ownership of projects, visibility to leadership. That's at startups that I just don't think gets talked about enough. And it's super valuable to know when making that decision, because it is a big decision if you go
Right.
startup or if you go corporate.
Yeah, and it's always a fun. It's exciting. There is sometimes nervousness. You don't know what is coming forward.
Yeah.
So mentally, it prepare you that okay, whatever comes, we are going to face it, and we are going to challenge it, and we are going to make it work. So it gives you that sense of not only ownership, but sense of risk-taking capabilities. That okay, if things come, we can do it. And once you
Mhm.
build that confidence, no matter where you go, this experience value a lot, especially when you go, let's say, from a startup to corporate. They
Yeah.
really love to hire the people who own, who drive, and who can
Yeah.
handle this uncertainty. Because even in the challenges are going to same. Only the thing is there is a big team. There's more experienced people to handle it. When in a startup, there are a couple of folks who is going to make the work.
Yeah. And it really is, like you said, failing fast to make those decisions, just because like every decision is not going to be right. It won't be, but it's being able to learn from those mistakes and move on and handle adversity, and having your long-term goals in mind, so you can handle adversity when it does come. Because if it's a startup that's still getting off the ground, like it will undoubtedly come, but it's being able to persevere through that and get through it. I'd love to talk a little bit more about just like startups and corporations. Can you share with us like your experience working with a startup, and how like how like the interconnected, like how your team members, like how it's different working for a startup versus like a corporation, just like the camaraderie between them.
Yeah, so another example here is when you work on a corporate big company, they have your defined role and responsibilities. In
Mm-hmm.
startup, although when they hire you, they give you certain role, but we should not just stay to the role.
Yeah.
The more you go outreach, the better is for the company, better for your personal growth as well as your career growth. So to give an example, when I started in Cohesity, I was being hired as a QA to take care of the testing. But
Yeah.
officially I was QA, but I was doing so many other things. I was talking to the customer, I was talking to the sales to learn how things should be. I was working with the product managers to understand the feature, and many times I was the one who was challenging the engineering team that this is the way we should build the feature.
Yeah.
And then slowly we build a mindset that okay, if we are building the same product or same feature which other competitors are doing, then it's not going to create any differentiator. We have to go one extra mile. And to give you an example, we got 4 patent on my name, and those 4 patent has been filed in multiple countries. So
That's awesome.
combiningly, there are like 20 patents across the world, and that show the power of innovation. That how we innovate, how we think, right?
Yeah.
Being in a startup, filing 20 patents, which cost to the company, is a huge accomplishment. Compared to my previous big, large organization, I did not file a single patent.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
working there, but it was never so much motivated that, okay, we should make it differentiation and then we should implement it also. Either it always stay an idea or it was somebody else's idea which got implemented. But here you get both the opportunities. So you
Yep.
come with the idea and you get it implemented as well. So that is a
Yeah.
big difference.
Yeah, and that's what I think is like so cool is like you can have the idea, but you can also watch the vision come through and have it be implemented. We are winding down on time here, Manoj, but I do want to talk a little bit more about like long term goals and identifying. Should I work for a startup? Should I work for a corporation? I think the first step is to like identify like what you want to be good at and like what you care about. Do you have any resources like books or podcasts or anything that you would recommend someone young in their career should listen to, read to? um, just just good knowledge to know when you're at a young stage of
Yeah.
your life.
So for technical, I always go to, like, for example, Coursera. There are so many courses. If you want to read
Yeah,
technical, then for example, if there is you want to learn about the cloud, then Amazon, for example, they have their own resources, so you
yeah,
can go through that. On the other part, I as I mentioned that Positive Intelligence by Shiraz Chaim, that is one of the very good book for the corporate, especially where they tell you like how you need to handle the pressure.
mm,
I would recommend to read such books at least. Uh, Time to time, I keep writing some article on my LinkedIn, and I put the references there also. I have put this life of a startup, how a startup grows, and what are the different challenges. So, from a learning point of view, I will say rather than giving some specific, we have to keep our eyes open
mm,
because it's depend at what phase you are and what you want to learn. So positive intelligence, for example, during the COVID time when we were sitting at home and we were
yeah,
nervous how things are going to happen, and that is the best time to read it, implement it. Prior to that, I was more focused on the technical aspect, where I went to the cloud certifications, Coursera to read some courses.
yeah. I love that, and yeah, you definitely want to keep your options open because I'm only 24, and what I was interested in work wise is a lot different than 24 than 20. So always keep your options open. But Manoj, thank you so much for joining us today. I love talking about startups with you versus big corporations. Appreciate the conversation. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
perfect. Thank you. Have a good one.